So what's up guys, your man NBA fan crazy. We're back on the channel with another video. I've been on a streak today. I just don't want to explain the reasons behind those. But for this video, we are doing another team recap, which is the Toronto Raptors. Now look guys, so before this video you can check out the 3 videos I've uploaded today in the Team Takeaway series playlist in my channel NBA Fan Crazy. You can also look at my reactions to playoff games and my takeaways and my predictions, a little bit on the podcast link which I'll be providing. I forgot, so I'll be providing it in this video. I've copied it and I forgot to do it. Silly old me, but I'll be putting it in the description right here. And as I said, let's get into the video. So the Toronto Raptors came into the NBA playoffs last year. They beat Orlando 4-1. They beat Philly on Game 7 4-3 with Kawhi Leonard's 4-bounce game winner, the first one ever in Game 7 history. And then they beat Milwaukee after Nick Nurse made the adjustment of putting Kawhi on Giannis as his primary defender, flanked by the wall that Toronto made with Pascal Siakam, Serge Ibaka, and Marc Gasol. So now, what am I going at? Well, the Raptors, they went to the NBA Finals and they beat the Warriors 4-2, though the Warriors were injury-riddled and people say that deserved an asterisk. Even I think it deserves an asterisk, and asterisks aren't as bad as you think it is. It's the state of it. But just saying, no team would have beaten the Warriors if they're fully healthy. And I think the Raptors do deserve an asterisk, and there's nothing wrong with it because it's just a thing of nature. But they still won the title, and the title is gonna stay as it is. No, if you say as it does not diminish the title, it's just what it is. But it's still a title. They lost Kawhi Leonard in free agency. They signed Stanley Johnson, a okay project, and Rondae Jefferson. They gave a max to Pascal Siakam. The 27th pick in the 2016 NBA draft, who won the most improved player of the year in 2019. Kyle Lowry, the steady veteran that he is, staying there, and Fred VanVleet. Now that Danny Green is gone to the Lakers for 2 year, $30 million contract, stepping into the shooting guard position, what I think is one of the shortest backcourts in the NBA. So now the smoke on the Raptors was some guys foolishly predicted that they wouldn't make it in the playoffs. These guys do not deserve to talk basketball. They did make it, and they turned some heads along the way. Some guys didn't believe in the Raptors even after some guys said they wouldn't make it. They just took it as a pretense of saying the regular season Raptors, the Raptors. They still made it in without Kawhi. A lot of injuries. If I'm right, the most man games lost to injuries this season. That's a really accomplishing feat. They got the second best overall record in the league. And for a team that lost Kawhi Leonard, that's actually a pretty good thing. They finished second in the conference, second in the league, and they got some few pretty good wins against the Western and Eastern Conference playoff teams that were really good wins. So they made it into the NBA playoffs. So there was a lingering doubt, and some guys are saying, oh, the Raptors are going to turn things this time around. I thought they're going to the ECF. I was clearly wrong. I thought it was a Raptors in 7 series, but it turned out to be Boston in 7. I was wrong. I don't care. I think Boston won it fair and square. Well, the thing is, after going, the concerns about the Raptors were they didn't have a guy who could relieve pressure off of the offense by just calling his own shot, like how Kawhi Leonard did last year. Some guys think they wouldn't have made it out of the second round without Kawhi Leonard, and I, for one, think they wouldn't have made it out of the second round without Kawhi Leonard. But so wouldn't the Sixers without Jimmy Butler. That's pretty easy to say. Now the point is, they needed that go-to guy, and I didn't say the go-to guy was Siakam. I thought they would function more of as a team, but I didn't anticipate the struggle Siakam had come. And before we get into the struggle Siakam had coming, um, make sure to see my other videos as well as my podcast. See what my takes on the Toronto Raptors were. I thought they were going to win Game 7. I was clearly wrong as the Boston Celtics won Game 7. Now let's get into the playoffs. So they finished with a record of 53-19. Second in the conference and second in the whole league. They beat the Nets they swept the Nets, who didn't have Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and Spencer Dinwiddie. That I thought the Nets would take one, but I was clearly wrong. The Raptors swept the Nets. And here came the Boston Celtics. This series proved to be one of the most this was predicted to be one of the most entertaining series, and was entertaining. But it was entertaining without Pascal Siakam due to struggling all over the field. The Raptors literally needed him to go off ball. You're playing Kyle Lowry, a 6-foot guard, as your shot maker, so they're gonna start like Siakam struggle, and I was wrong about Siakam. I thought he would take advantage of the guards, and I know Jaylen Brown guarded him well. By the way, I did know he guarded him well. I just thought it would flip a switch in the playoffs and guys like Jaylen Brown. He has 3 inches on Jaylen Brown, and I thought he would have used his height advantage in the post more when he struggled. Clearly, that did not happen. Jaylen Brown made his life difficult, but it was not just Jaylen Brown, it was Siakam himself. Being the number one focus on his defense really took a toll on him. A level of defense he hadn't faced before, being the main focus on defense on offense, and teams putting the best defenders on you. They switch Tatum on him, they switch Brown on him, they also switch the heart and soul of the Celtics defense, Marcus Smart, on him. Now this had a toll on Siakam. To be the best one on offense, to be the best main option, and the Celtics putting their perimeter defenders switching, or the switch heavy perimeter defense the Celtics have, they put the best defenders on him. He clearly struggled, wasn't the same as himself. And some people say Siakam was more of a home crowd guy. Maybe he was. I don't know. Maybe he is. But let's look at what the Raptors did as a whole. And this is what happened to the Raptors. They lost the first 2 games mainly due to Siakam's struggles as being the number one option and being the defense's main focus. This looked like the Raptors clearly needed Kawhi, and I always thought they needed Kawhi. And I was almost still right, even though Siakam didn't play well. In my mindset, I'm not trying to make excuses, because the Celtics did win fair and square, and this happens to guys when they become the main focus of the defense. I did predict Siakam to do a better job than this, though. It just clearly startles me when a guy of his caliber came up short, and this clearly moves him down the list of NBA players. Some guy, Kendrick Perkins, calling him a top 10 player. And I, for one, thought Jason Tatum was better than him. Maybe not. At times it looked like I was wrong, but sometimes I thought Siakam was better, Jason Tatum was better. I thought Tatum was better from the scrimmage games onwards. I have been right. And they turned to Kyle Lowry to make the clutch shots. Siakam didn't produce as much on the offensive end. He was okay on the defensive end, but wasn't really the defensive and offensive presence he was in the regular season before the shutdown came. And before I tell this, I thought the Raptors would do better in the seeding games. They look unstoppable. In the playoffs, they look more like they needed Kawhi, and Kawhi also needed them. You can look at my LA Clippers predictions. But the point is, the Raptors really needed the go-to guy. They didn't have him, and one more thing, the transition offense was shut down by the Celtics defense. The Celtics have one of the best transition defenses in the NBA, and the Raptors rely on running on the break to get their points. They weren't more of a half-court team. So that was two issues for the Raptors. The and the third issue was your center being so slow. You had to put OG Anunoby as the five. You had to play a three guard lineup without now 3 point guards, but still a three guard lineup. And Norman Powell is a little bit too short to be a small forward. He's just 6'3". So the switchability, the Raptors centers didn't have switchability. This clearly impacted them, as they always said, multiple screens, double screen, triple screen to get Kemba Walker on the big man, so he can just go to work. Because Kemba being the quickest player on the Celtics, putting him on the slowest player on the Raps, this clearly impacted them, and they played Gasol more than they should. Am I the only one who saw, in spite of not being as no, both not being as quick, Serge Ibaka was the better option. He could score on the interior. Marc Gasol, Tice clearly outplayed him on both ends. And the Raptors, one part of why they took it to game seven, being battle tested, having veterans like Kyle Lowry can carry the offense at once, and Kyle Lowry really came up big for the Raptors, but his unfortunately, the Raptors lost to the Celtics in Game 7, 92-87, and Siakam had, if I'm right, his first game of the series in Game 7. He clearly did not look like himself against the Celtics, who had many defenders to put on him, and he clearly didn't look the same in the bubble. So my main takeaways are that the Siakam struggles as the main option, Kyle Lowry being called upon to do more, in him and Fred VanVleet do call upon more the clutch scoring. And third one, you could have used a more switchable center. And even though if switchability was not an issue, Serge Ibaka was clearly the better option than Marc Gasol. You should have started him. And I saw tweets, Celtic fans clearly happy that they're starting Marc Gasol. And it took a long time for Nick Nurse to play OG at the 5. It clearly took a long time. And he hit that phenomenal buzzer beater. So my main takeaways on what they can do is Siakam will become more comfortable. His spin move is the only go-to move he has on offense. He has to work on his post game to take height advantage in the post, and if he does work on his post moves, I think he can take advantage of a defender like Jaylen Brown, who's not as tall enough as him, and if he does develop his post game, they won't be able to take advantage. And the second thing is to get a more switchable center they can use in close games to guard perimeter players who've switched on and being attacked on. This clearly forced the Raptors out of the issue, and when OG Anunoby was brought in, they clearly fed Tice multiple times in Game 6. And the third thing, you should have started Serge Ibaka. He was a more dominant force in the interior, provided Gasol was older, he couldn't score in the interior. And they had to call upon the smaller guards to set screens and pop out. So, what the Raptors can do in the offseason, provided they might lose Fred VanVleet to the Knicks, you gotta draft, and the Raptors were really short on wing depth. They couldn't stop Jason Tatum. As soon as they went OG to the 5, the Raptors just too short to stop the Celtics. So my main takeaways are Siakam has to work on his post game, his moves on the offensive end, not being reliant on transition, working on your half-court offense. He clearly did not look as comfortable as he did in the regular season, where the Celtics made a point to shut down his offense and feed the ball to him, knowing that his metal block in his head would make him uncomfortable. And to get more wings, the Toronto Raptors, when playing OG at the 5, the only wing they had who could play up to the Celtics wings in that wing depth was OG Anunoby. When you played him at the 5, you had guards playing the 3. The guard depth is impressive, but the wing depth, not so much. They don't have many guys who can play the 3, and Siakam can play the 3, is playing the 4 because he's the only one who's tall enough and switchable enough to play the 4. In fact, if you play Siakam at the 3, who's playing the 4? That's one very difficult choice to make. And the third one is getting a more switchable big and not getting Montrezl Harrell. And switchable bigs are useful come playoff time when in regular season these strategies won't come. In playoff time all hell breaks loose. And having switchable bigs against a more perimeter reliant team in the Celtics is an added bonus because being able to dominate them inside and one more thing, the Celtics made sure then since Gasol couldn't score inside, and they could take advantage of him outside. At least he needed a guy who could score inside, being Ibaka. I advocated for him to start. Nick Nurse didn't do that. He never did. He should have made that adjustment in Game 7. So my three main takeaways are Siakam working on his half-court offense and his post game. He clearly can't use just a spin move. He was a little bit exposed here in terms of what move he can go to. And the second one is you guys know wing depth. The Raptors are short on wings who can measure up to the 6'6" to 6'8" range. OG Anunoby was the only one who could measure up to that size. And even if the Raptors guards could play wing, they're too shorter to play wing. And having a switchable big, and I don't know who the switchable big is, but just saying what the Raptors need. So my three main takeaways for the Raptors are Siakam to work on his half court and post game and not just being reliant on the spin move. 2, the Raptors wing depth. They're short on wings. They had to play guards at the 3. And I'm surprised no one has looked at this enough. The guards play defense, they do. But the wing depth who could measure up to the Celtics, they played zone. Man to man was clearly the better strategy. And they had to play, they need wings. 6'6 to 6'8 wings, that's the size they need. And having a switchable big who could switch out to the guards and not being exposed when Kemba Walker switches on to you on offense. The Raptors really need some wing depth because their guards and big rotation is good, but you need a switchable big who could handle switches in playoff time, who was quick enough to recover, and having wings who can play man-to-man defense. So this is my takeaways, guys. The Raptors had a really great regular season, but once again they fell short because they didn't have a go-to scorer. This is my fourth takeaway. Kyle Lowry is good. He's 34 years old. The Raptors need a go-to scorer, and this can be factored into the first takeaway, as I said, Siakam having to work on his post game because he's the go-to scorer. So you can factor that in his first takeaway. So my three main takeaways of Siakam having to become a go-to option, not just being reliant on the spin move. Second one, the wing depth. No, I don't think anyone has mentioned this a lot. And the third one, having more switchable big who can dominate, who could control the inside on the offensive end. So those are the three main takeaways, guys. I think the Toronto Raptors can do things next season, but I do think they have to be cautious in free agency with Fred VanVleet. free agency insured, Ibaka's free agency, Marcus. I think they should retain Van Vliet and Ibaka because those two are the most important guys. So they should look to retain them no matter the cost because he's the only one who can replace Kyle Lowry, him and Powell in the backcourt. So if you want, you can check out this channel, guys. You can see the best clutch plays of the 2020 NBA playoffs that I handpicked and made the highlights on my own. I would be very happy if you guys just made a few minutes to check out that video that I made. And if you click the like button and click on the subscribe button to see what videos come out on the daily, and just make sure you just see the channel and just give out your takeaways on what I missed or what I did not. So thank you guys for staying up here if you watch this video, and thank you guys for just staying up here so that you can see my main takeaways on the 2019-2020 Toronto Raptors season. Incredible season, fell short, need to work on their depth on the positions and a certain archetype of big they need. So thank you guys for staying up here. Peace out, my friends, and see y'all. So thank you guys. Peace out.